So here we are, folks. This is gonna be a review of a phone that has caught the attention of quite a lot in the tech industry. It is the iPhone X. Now, I don't know how much of the review I'm gonna do with this Animoji, but I'm gonna give it a fair shot. So let's get to it. So first of all, we have the design of this thing. Now, it differs very drastically from what the iPhone 7 and the even new iPhone 8 have come out with. So unlike any other iPhone, the home button is now gone, and replacing it is a display that covers the entire front of the phone, bar the notch at the top. Surrounding the iPhone X is a stainless steel frame that kind of reminds me of the iPhone 4 or even the iPhone 3GS for that matter. Together with the glass on the front and back of the phone, it does give the phone a very premium feel, very high class, like it's worth a lot of money, which it is. Aside from the obvious differences, we still get volume buttons on the side, a mute switch, and on the back, the cameras are now in a different orientation. They are now vertical instead of horizontal for some unknown reason. But overall, can't really fault the design too much. Yeah, the notch might get in the way on the first few days of you using it, but you kind of start to ignore it after that. Right, now let's move on to the display. So this display is also very different. It's a 5.8-inch OLED display that has a resolution of 2436 by 1125. It supports Dolby Vision, HDR10, wide color gamut, 3D touch, and even True Tone. In layman's terms, this display is pretty cool. Also, the thing that surprises me the most is just the sheer brightness of this thing. Even in bright sunlight, I've tried this out and not a problem with viewing content. To begin with, if you're viewing like photos or videos, you don't necessarily want it to go full screen because of the notch. But then, after a while, you're just like, yeah, what the hell? And then you're like, whoa, holy moly, because the content is going right up to the edge of the phone. And I'm still getting used to even that. One thing to note though, is that the display, although it is good with viewing angles, does get very bluish if you start viewing it off angle. This is simply just a disadvantage of the OLED display, but it does have also many advantages, such as bringing better battery life and more rich colours. Now, iOS has had to be slightly adapted due to the lack of a home button, so the way you use the phone differs in certain areas. These include swiping up from the bottom of the phone to get back to your home screen, or swiping left and right across the bottom of the phone to switch between apps that are currently running. There's also a weird gesture for multitasking, which involves swiping up and down in a short space, which then brings up the multitasking area. This is the gesture that I find the most weird. It's not too natural. The rest I don't have a problem with. You get used to them after about an hour, but this one is meh. If you're not a fan, you can always enable the virtual home button in the accessibility options, which brings up an on-screen home button for you. All iOS system apps have been updated to use all of the iPhone X's massive display, and it does look very pretty. Yay, panda! Right, so, battery life. Now, with Apple's A11 Bionic chip inside this phone, it does seem to be pretty darn efficient. From my day-to-day usage, I seem to be getting a good full day out of it, and this is with some moderate to heavy usage. I would say this will comfortably last a day, so long as you're not gaming on the thing for a number of hours. Speaking of gaming, this thing aces any game, absolutely aces it. It's got a hexa-core CPU, and its GPU just simply flies through anything. But regardless of what you do, be it gaming or rendering or whatever you want to do, this phone will do it in a very, very snappy fashion. Right, the camera. Let's jump straight into it. On the back, we've got dual 12 megapixel cameras with autofocus and optical image stabilization, with also 2x optical zoom. On the front, we have a 7 megapixel camera that supports face detection and HDR. Now, I'm no photographer, but low light performance in this thing, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But even just as a point and shoot camera, you get some pretty darn good results. I've taken a few shots of some buildings and some details and like me, and yeah, it seems to be alright. Who am I kidding? The photos are absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. You don't need to mess about with any manual settings, and probably it's helped by the fact that you're viewing it on this awesome OLED display. But nonetheless, sometimes the results of the photos that you take are actually going to surprise you, especially when you've got HDR enabled. When you have that enabled and you start viewing these photos afterwards, you're just going to be surprised by the amount of light and detail that are captured. Now, one thing I did have to try out was this portrait lighting feature, which has now made its way onto the iPhone X with some extra additional options. Now, as I said before, I'm not an expert on capturing photos, but some of the options didn't really seem to make any difference. However, stage lighting and mono lighting seem to be my favourite modes. They do make a difference. And I think if you spent a little bit more time trying to take the photo with these lighting effects, you can come out with some truly extraordinary pictures. I mean, you can see some of the ones that I've taken just here, but I don't think I got the best out of the camera. As I said, probably a little bit more time than I probably would. But nevertheless, you're still going to be impressed by the photos produced by the iPhone X, and are definitely comparable to any other flagship that's out on the market. Animoji, Animoji, Animoji. Now onto the feature that everyone is going to like the most. This guy, the cheeky little monkey that can speak and stuff. Yes, it is indeed Animoji, where you get to be a random character of sorts and send a message in a very fun and novel way. Now don't get me wrong, this feature is pretty cool, but it's probably going to wear off at some point, because there's only so many times you can just be a cat. Like, the only time I've really used this feature is for this review. And yeah, it is cool, but I can't see myself using it. It is very accurate though. It does pick up the lip movements and even squinting and stuff and like eyebrow movements. It is very, very weird. But nevertheless, if you're into talking foxes, then this will be right up your street. Oh crap! Right, so other things to look out for. This thing does also support fast charging, but do be aware that the adapter and the wire for it do not come standard in the box. So that means you're going to have to shell out an extra 20, 30 quid, something like that, just to get the equipment you need to fast charge the thing. But if you do, it does mean that you can charge the battery from 0 to 50% in around about half an hour. Wireless charging is also built into the iPhone X, and it works very well, but charging is noticeably slower. It's not a standout feature, and if the phone didn't have it, I probably would still buy it, but it's a nice convenience feature to have. Face ID! Yes, the thing that means that there's a notch at the top of your phone. So, questions to answer. Does it work? Does it detect a sibling? Can it work in the dark? And all that jazz. For a first generation feature, Face ID works around about 95% of the time. So the same way that Touch ID, when it first came out, worked about 95% of the time. Yes, it does work in the dark. Yes, it works very well even if, I don't know, you got glasses on. Regardless of the lighting conditions, it seems to pick up your face without an issue. If you're in a crowded place though and there's other people looking at your phone, it may not necessarily unlock. That's the biggest gripe I have with it. If your sibling is a twin and they have the same kind of facial features as you, then there's a pretty high chance that they will be able to unlock your phone. But the good thing is that all your Touch ID works with Face ID. If there was an instance where you would need Touch ID, it simply just calls Face ID instead, and you're good to go. So for me personally, there isn't really an issue with Face ID. But if you do have a twin, as I said, probably do a workaround. Face ID was really easy to set up. It just wanted you to move your face like so. And then that was it. So all in all, what do I think of the iPhone X? Well, I think it is a very good phone, performance-wise, battery life, camera, all add up. And so long as you can get over that notch in about 24 hours, then you can't really go wrong with this phone. It's almost flawless. But you got to remember, this phone is prepared for the future of smartphones, which apparently is going wireless. So no more jacks and stuff. One piece of advice I would give you though is if you can get the phone on contract instead of buying it out, I would definitely go for that instead. Shelling out $1,000 on a phone does seem a bit ludicrous, but spreading out the money over a set period of time isn't too bad. But what I do believe will happen is now that Apple have started this whole selling a phone for $1,000 idea, I think other manufacturers might follow suit. But nevertheless, if this is what Apple is showing us what the future of smartphones is going to be like, I am one excited tech guy. Now, if you liked the review, please give it a like below and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, don't take this review as like a professional review, because then again, I'm a cat. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.